Hello, and thank you for joining us on this episode of Constructive Conversations, the podcast where we aim to bridge the gap in communications between contractors and customers. Joining me today is Victoria Givlin. She's a master networker and marketer. She runs a print and digital marketing publication for companies who want to advertise in affluent communities. Victoria has a lot of expertise in photography, videography, acting, modeling, of course, print and digital marketing. She also hosts a monthly business networking group. And if you need to get connected with a business in Calgary, she's the person you need to talk to. We're going to dive deep into the topic of communication and tease out some tips on how consumers and contractors can improve their communications to get better outcomes. So Victoria, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is an honor. It's great.
So tell us more about what you do, what your company does.
Yeah, so when people ask, I say that for the most part, I'm a storyteller and a community builder. So I get to help support people with what they love to do, grow what they love to do, and it supports the community, it supports me, it supports my family. There's win-wins all day long. So like you said, the print and digital marketing options. Marketing encompasses a lot, as the trades do, right? There's different specialties and niches that you fall into and that you choose the path that you go in. But yeah, we do print marketing to affluent clientele, like you said, in a privatized setting. So we have a high readership rate at 89.4%, and we're really building great communities and figuring out how to spread positive, good news in a local fashion, both in multi-channel mediums.
That's great. What led you up to that point? How did you land in this company that you're in now?
So I'm a third generation entrepreneur. My grandmother and my mother both took leaps at different times of their lives to start something new, and it really encouraged me to do that as well. We had a promotional marketing and print business in Ontario, and we started as an engraving shop. And then as entrepreneurship does, it goes, okay, well, can you do this for me? I'm going to figure it out. Yeah, I can do it. So Jen is my mom, and she started doing the engraving company, having left insurance and compliance, and bought this company from our neighbor who was a nurse. And yeah, went from engraving to promotional products to print. And then I took on social media marketing and content creation for blogs and websites and things like that. And my dad did website design. So during the last few years, everything kind of shut down. So our clients were sports organizations, post-secondary institutions, big awards, gala nights, trade shows, and none of those things were happening. So, yep, mom said, I don't want to build this here anymore. I want to go do something different. So I wished her the best at the time and let her go in 2021, and she found what we're doing now. So that's kind of come full circle, but
awesome. That's great. And what's your motivation? What's your passion that drives you to get out of bed in the morning and build these communities, like you said?
oh my goodness. Well, I mean, controverse to other media and news that can focus on if it bleeds, it leads. I get to focus on educating and empowering people in the community. So I really love getting to learn what people do and what is their why and how I can really communicate that effectively to these awesome readers. So it's having this great group of people that really care about the community because they've worked hard to be there. And then also on the business owner side, we're more alike than we think. So my why every day is to support and to help and to figure out how to grow and expand. Because like I said, it's win-wins and it comes full circle. So I'm big on karma and belief that way.
And that's great that it's the opposite of the typical news cycle. So that must give you more energy as you work instead of being a drain. Oh, I got to go, find stuff that bleeds and leads.
I'm glad I'm not chasing that.
Yeah.
And my education was in criminology and psychology. So it was a lot of, once trauma has happened or you're looking for negativity and you're trying to find and figure out why it's happening, I'm like, I would rather focus on creating more good and not avoiding a hard subject, but just being like, okay, well, let's figure out the best solution then. You're the expert. This is what I'm looking to do in my head, but how do I make this happen from start to finish? And that's a good sort of segue to what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So can you tell me about the companies that you typically work with?
Yeah, so for us, the profession is important, but to me, it's not as important as the type of person that works for that profession. So we're looking for business owners or strong business executives that are positive, family friendly, love giving back to the community, care about where they work, care about what they do, and like educating. So it kind of splits into three. We have like wellness professionals, so that can be chiropractors, massage, acupuncture, anything of that nature, or it goes to trades, contractors. Your body's feeling good, but my home isn't great, so my environment needs to be better. So any roofers, landscapers, as you know, carpenter, just amazing that he's in there. I love working with what we're doing there. But and then the other one kind of goes to holistic wellness, but on a different front, more so from business or personal on the business side. Insurance, mortgage broker, real estate, those sorts of investment and finance into yourself and your business. So those tend to be the people that I serve, and a lot of them tend to be educators to others in their fields as well.
Okay, great. So I'm definitely interested in the contractor part of the companies that you deal with.
Yeah.
Right. So when you say you look for companies that care about the community, they want to like impact the community, they're good at what they do. How do you screen for that? Like, what do you look for in a company that you want to be in one of your publications?
Yeah. So if they want to be one of the outstanding businesses that are making an impact in the community. So, meeting with the business owner, seeing what their goals are, and if they align with us, if they want to be the next big name in that industry in the city, that's a great person for me to talk to. If they have a good plan about where they want to go and they've been up in business for a while and they've got good experience, they could have started a new business or franchise one if they want, but just someone that cares more just for themselves and they have like a community around them that, you know, they have those tools set in place. They have the invoicing, they have the back end, they have their website and social media up and running, but they just need a hand because it's a lot of work. So, yeah, the types of contractors that are true and honest and genuine and can follow up and communicate effectively with me and let me know what their goals are so I can help are, you know, you get out what you put in. So I have lots of avenues to kind of help. Are you open to receiving that and what can I do?
Great. So yeah, you touched on like honest, open communication, prompt responses, which unfortunately in the contracting industry, that's not always the case, right? There's in Alberta, there's 6,000 registered contractors. Sorry, there's 6,600 of them are properly bonded and licensed. So you have a lot of these fly-by-nighters. The contractor who wants to say they want to be on that level of high communication, you know, providing a great service for their customers, what can they do to improve their marketing messaging?
That's a great question. Yeah. So I would figure out which channels you want to show up for and be consistent on that. You don't have to be on all of them all at once, but if you've chosen Facebook and Instagram, then making that commitment to yourself and making that commitment to your community. So giving back and deciding it's really just sort of like we mentioned earlier before the filming was hyper focusing on what we do have available and reaching out to ask frequently asked questions, post what it is that you're doing. Today I've started from this base foundation and then 6 hours later this is what I've created. And people love that. They're super visual. So being able to kind of connect that way on social media, you can just ask, what would you like to see? Is there something that you're curious about in my industry? How can I help you? What are some misconceptions you've heard about my business or my industry? So, yeah, I would try to set some time once a day, at least a little bit, even if it's just 15 to 20 minutes a day, sharing other businesses and commenting on their stuff. It is a social media. So, and then on the other side, I feel like we get on this thing that we need to be perfect and we need to have the highest grade tech and we need to have all these things. And that's not true. Social media and video content is important to have some high quality stuff, but just being consistent and being vulnerable and being willing to show up is the biggest thing. So, yeah, if you have any questions about what sort of content to make, I would dive into your own hero's journey. Where did you start prior to the business? Why did you follow this? Who guided you? And where are you going? And where are you being motivated to do now? And for your own clients, what sort of problems do you solve on their end? How do you help improve their life and kind of make content that way, or simple stuff too, and following the calendar? Valentine's Day is around the corner. That's easy to talk about for me anyway. I see that connection, and okay, well, Valentine's all about love. We love what we do. We love our work. So how can we talk about that and things of that nature, I guess?
Yeah.
If
Awesome.
that makes
So
sense.
yeah, definitely. So the tips are, it's better to post something than to wait and try to make it perfect. So
Yep.
just post what you have. I like the hero's journey. So talk about like a story of where you were, where you came from. People like to see stories on there,
Mhm.
and then to do it consistently, like put it in a calendar.
Yeah, make it meaningful, make it consistent, doesn't have to be perfect, and see what other brands, even if they're not in your industry, I've heard from a business coach, find your big six. Find six
Mhm.
companies that you are small or large that are making a big impact, that you're like, I stand with these values. These guys are really awesome. I love what they're doing. And then spin it in your own way at the capacity that you can and make it fun.
Mhm.
Have fun.
Okay, great. And then since like you market to these communities, to the community here in Calgary, um, what can the homeowner or the consumer look for if they're looking for a company? They want a company that has values, that's organized, that answers calls. What can they look for to find a company that lines up with their values?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a variety of channels you can kind of dive and do some research. So our publications, as you know, offer a way to educate the readers and build credibility. So you want to see the visibility of the business. You want to see where they're showing up on what channels. You want to see the credibility, where are the reviews, how are they showing up. If you are someone that wherever you're going, ask them for their favorite profession of that nature. Who's your go-to massage therapist or go-to flooring person? Have you redone contracting or renovations in your house recently? Who did you work with? How did you feel? But if you're more independent focused, you can take a look at, search engine, Google platforms, Facebook, Instagram. Seeing their portfolio is huge for me. I want to see your expertise. I want to see what you really like to do, and if your brand and your vision aligns with what I might want done in my house or what
Mhm.
the consumer might want as well. So, yeah, seeing a look at the reviews, and often if check out their website, you can even give them a call and just ask, hey,
Mhm.
just wanted to check in and have a few questions, because that means that the social media and the marketing and the opportunities are working. So,
Mhm. Yeah, so it goes back to what you were saying earlier. So for a company to be found, they need to have their website up to date, be on multiple social media channels, have their reviews out there,
yeah.
so that they can be found by their customers.
Yeah, who are you targeting? How are you targeting? Are you consistent? What are you saying? So, I currently, the biggest way to grow your brand is with video production and being on
Mhm.
social media and pushing that out there through a variety of channels, and then print and social media at the same time in a very strategic way.
Mhm.
Um, you can do mail outs, you can do door hangers, you can do flyers, and it's not that that doesn't work. I was chatting with a contractor the other day actually that was saying his door hanger thing is he hands out mail outs one block up and one block down, just saying, hey, I'm here until Friday. You can see what I'm doing. If you want me to take a look at your basement,
Mhm.
let me know. So I thought that was really interesting. But our publications and what we offer in that capacity, finding a community that you want to support and then talking to them on the
Mhm.
affluent side, because they don't they don't really stress about paying the contractor or having the issue for that. They can afford that. So that's typically an ideal client market. So finding where that is and communicating with them. And there are studies that have come out in the last year about how the affluent people specifically really do prefer like a physical, tangible print in their hand. And then digital just makes it 400% more effective in remembering the brand. So.
Right. So that's a little reminder. Yeah, it's like another touch point. Oh yeah, this brand that I saw.
Yeah.
So is that something you help companies with? Is their strategy and like developing that comprehensive plan?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to making video or anything like that, or articles that we're putting together, I am here to hold your hand along the way. We're the experts of what we do, so you can be the experts of what you do. I very similar to this. I love asking what gets you excited, what do you want to talk about, what do you want to educate our readers about. You're the expert and you'll have so many terms, but how do we make that comprehensive and understanding to the audience members and make them want to ask more to learn more about you?
So when you said like you're the expert at what you do, so I'm the expert at what I do.
Yeah.
Do you find there's resistance from like maybe specifically from contractors who think, oh no, I can do it all? And this is also an attitude that entrepreneurs have. Oh no, I'll just handle it. I'll do it myself. Do you notice that resistance when you're having those conversations with business owners to sort of hand over the reins?
Yeah. So, I mean, I used to do social media marketing, content and creation and posting on your behalf. And that's not exactly what I'm doing now. It's a bit of a different laneway. But what I always tell people is I'm like, I'm not looking to take over your marketing. I'm essentially like a fractional marketer in your corner. I am here to talk to you about ideas and give you feedback and, really bounce ideas off with you. But I don't want to control, nor should I, because when these people do reach out, we make these articles and we make these engaging social media content, they're going to talk to you. So I need the business owner to be responsive and communicate effectively and prioritize dialogue with me and know that the best businesses at a certain point know how to delegate and know how to not focus on what they don't want to do anymore and can pass that to someone who I do not cut or color my hair. That is not something that I'm willing to do. So because I know that I probably could do it, but it's going to be better if I just let the professional do it.
Yeah.
So letting the pros do what they love to do. And then when you can, I mean, sometimes you're like, look, I'm a brand new, I got nothing. I can't. Okay, well, you can make a video on your phone. You can post it. You can go on social media and boost it for like however much your budget is and just kind of get started and then start getting some data and seeing what people are liking and enjoying. But I don't get too much resistance on whether or not they want my help. It's typically a matter of whether or not they're ready to get started. Because once you get started, you really can't slow down or stop because that is like a thing. If I look at your social media and you haven't posted for 6 months, a year, or 2 years, people don't think that you're open anymore. So yeah, it's more the resistance of I'm ready to go, but I'm not sure. Like it's okay, I'm here for you.
Yeah. So it's like they're turning on the faucet, like when you say that, like, yeah, you're gonna be busy once you turn on this faucet.
Yeah. It's gonna start like a snowball effect, really, is it's gonna, okay, you're gonna start and it'll be small and you also want to have manageable growth.
Yeah.
So what does success look like for you, both as the contractor and then from the contractor to their own clients? Okay, is it how fast is it done? How often are we communicating? What is a good communication for you? Do you prefer over the phone? Do you like email? What might be better? Just having both of the channels open available. It's probably best. But yeah, knowing that as we help and we open that faucet, it shouldn't just come out like a waterfall like crazy, but it'll build. But as that's happening, does your business have the system set up to build that capacity? Are you available and ready to do the hiring and the recruiting? Do you have a team available? Do you want the team to have more hours or do you need to hire one once you get that going? So, yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned data, so you can start to collect data.
Mhm.
I'm super into data. So
Yeah.
what can people track? Like, what are sort of metrics that you should be looking at when you're running a marketing campaign in your business?
Yeah. So marketing and branding is different than sales and lead generation. So I'm always telling people that and trying to help them. So in this context, if marketing is the blueprint of the foundation and getting that sort of set up, then that is the underlying marketing and branding side. The sales and lead generation is the contractors coming in and building the house. So we need the branding and the marketing to be set up. To see how that is working can be hard to track, but it's similar to going to the gym. You're not going to get an immediate result, but showing up, giving it your best at that moment for what you got, and being consistent and being okay with failure, finding where your failure is, and then learning from it and growing from there. So to track if branding is working, is your company growing? Are you getting more phone calls? Are you getting more emails? Are you busier? Are you hearing from people more frequently? How do, are other people showing up and saying, "Hey, I saw your video," or "Hey, I had questions about this article that you wrote," or "I saw you in this publication and I saw you at this trade show. I saw you here. I saw you there." So that's the visibility, because with visibility, we build credibility.
Mhm.
So yes, in terms of knowing that your branding's working, you're getting busier, but you're also established in that people understand who you are, what you do, how you can offer your services. And you can track impressions. You can track so impressions are how many people have stopped scrolling and starting to build that visual and mental recognition of your company and what that is. So getting a print somewhere to an affluent community, getting to know what the readership rate to build that data up, getting to see on Google what is trending in my industry right now, what sort of interior design trends are happening that I could again make on my own and kind of show that. I wouldn't say to trace or track or try to follow trends exactly like to the T. That doesn't guarantee success, but innovating it in your own way and being like, okay, well, if I made a podcast campaign or I made a series of videos of me in the last month working a variety of projects,
Mhm.
which projects on social media did I get more responses from? Did I get more likes, engagement, clicks, comments, emails, phone calls from? And following the success. So, okay, we really had this great conversation about renovating a sink. Okay, so how can should we do like a bathroom tour and then do the tub and kind of work that way around for the next month and kind of grow
Mhm.
from there?
Yeah, so you can look back and see what worked and then do more of what's working.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. That's a good tip.
A bit of it at first, of course, for anyone is trial and error. I don't know what I'm doing. But you can follow other brands and see what has led to success for them and
Mhm.
try to give it a go in your own way.
Right, so you just find like a related brand in your industry. It doesn't even have to be in your city, but someone who does what you do and then sort of see what's working for them.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I'm sure they'll be trying new things, and being daring and innovative can get you some good results for sure. But just making sure that it's professional and on brand. But
Hmm.
yeah, seeing what the leaders in your area are already doing,
Hmm.
rising tide lifts all ships. Whoever's going in that direction, I want
Hmm.
to go in that wavelength with them.
Hmm. Absolutely. Awesome. So for the customer perspective,
Hmm.
so to help the customer find the right companies, how can they differentiate between, say, somebody um, has just spent a bunch of money on some Facebook ad campaigns, and so they're getting these ads pop up. But it doesn't necessarily guarantee that, you know, it's an established brand, if they just spent the money. How do they sort of differentiate between someone who's like an established brand that has a reputation behind them and just somebody who's pulling some fast marketing moves to try to get you in the door?
Yeah. So testimonials are a great way to look at that. And then seeing the other people that are supporting them and what they're doing in the industry. If it's some research really,
Hmm.
is okay, you found an ad that was attractive. what about it made me feel this way? What am I feeling? And then doing a bit of a deeper dive. So clicking on it, going to the website, how easy is it to work through? How do I feel when I'm looking at it? Those sorts of things. And then seeing a quick Google search or a quick Facebook search, like, are they involved in the community? Are they backed by reputable people? Do they have, if they're in publishing, do they have a reputable business behind them? Do they have video content? Where are they showing up? How often are they showing up? And to know if they're credible or not. Reviews are often pretty good for that. And seeing there's Facebook, Google reviews. Often there's testimonials on business websites and things like that. Seeing that they're relevant. If someone, like if your neighbor or something got something done, you can ask them for their opinion and see how that goes to know that they're reputable, because that often becomes a thing, is it's reputable and word of mouth. So trusting on that side. And if you see them showing up on more mediums than one, then they're more professional. If they're in print publications, then they've been reputed and they're credible. So does that answer the question? Does that make more sense?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think that can be helpful for people instead of just going, oh yeah, I saw one ad for this person. Let's call them and start booking the work. It's like, no, take a little more time, slow down, do the research, and make sure that it is a reputable company.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big investment in your house to be doing these contract like work and to get that done. So taking that extra minute to figure it out and making sure that you align with the business and with the business owner too, because you want to fall in love with your space. So
absolutely. So going from like the digital and the online marketing to in person. So you do a lot of like in person, you host your business networking events, and then you mentioned like companies can show up at trade shows. Yeah, talk more about like your events and what happens there.
Absolutely. Thanks. So you grow your business in two ways. This is the community building part that I focus on. You grow your business in person and with content. So in person, hitting up some networking, going and seeing other events. So the Chamber of Commerce, there's BX, there's a variety of networking groups. If you're not sure which one you want to do, if you're feeling bold like I was, you can make your own. And it's just, again, feeling the energy of the room and the area and letting the understanding in your own brain, because I feel like some people get so nervous about networking, and I'm like, at the end of the day, you're all there for a common goal, and that's to grow your brand, grow your relationships in the community, and to support one another. So finding those groups that are consistent and those people that show up. I have made it a point to do networking once a month that I've hosted. There's no membership here. It's just if you can come by, come by. And we rotate the venue that it's at and we showcase that business owner to try to give back in another way. So we'll get about 30 business owners into a different location to take a look around and sit in the energy and see that world and kind of understand a little bit more about them and what their life is like. So get a better understanding and feel for how we could maybe help them. So yeah, that's what I do. I want to be a referral source for people. I understand that what I offer, some people don't have the budget for, and that's okay. I'm sure you get that quite frequently, but just knowing like, okay, well, I know this is a goal that you have in mind and that you'd like to do it when the time is right, but I'm here to answer any questions or help you with whatever along the way as I can until you're ready anyway.
Awesome. And in terms of contractors, because a lot of them might say, oh yeah, well, I'm already busy. I'm busy on jobs. I don't have time to go network and meet other business owners. So what's the draw for them? Like what benefit are they going to see?
So there are industries right now like HVAC and plumbing that are going crazy busy, and that's fantastic. And this was the same sort of discussion last summer with the painters. And this is awesome. And I'm so happy that there's so much abundance for them. But at a certain point, eventually, it's going to change. So being prepared and having those systems set up in place already that, if, say, for instance, like the realty industry, there's 7,000 realtors in Calgary now. They went from 2,500 prior to pandemic to 7,000. So how do you stand out? How do you show up and be consistent? Even if you're really busy, that's great. But unfortunately, because the average consumer is bombarded with so many ads every single day, we get more than 10,000.
10,000 ads per
10,000
day.
ads a day. So if you're not showing up consistently, even if you are a business owner that's busy, the question would be, do you want to grow? So not if it's not a good fit for me to be on the marketing if they don't want to grow. If they're like, man, I can't keep top from down, I don't want to do that. That's okay. That's an all right answer. But even if you're busy now, have you ever not been busy before? Have you struggled to find clients in the past? You can only go to so many things and do so many things at once. So really being hyper focused, like, okay, well, even if I just go to one networking a week, and the biggest thing that blows my mind about networking, I find, is people come out and they don't take the initiative. Okay, I got your business card. That's great. We had a great conversation. And now I go home and there's a stack of business cards for the next 2 weeks that are just collecting dust on my desk. Well, that's the actual networking is after the meeting, after that happens. So taking that initiative, following through, and being like, okay, well, let's be super intentional. Let's go to this one networking thing this week or this month, whatever works for your schedule, depending on how busy you are. And let's make a relationship with 2 people that are just incredible, that I thought were awesome energy. And I just want to learn more about them and see if they're in your circle, meaning even better. So if they're a plumber and you're a carpenter, okay, this is a great conversation to have. This is good support systems that we could have, that we could use each other and have this sort of relationship to go off of. So for me, it's big on perspective and attitude. If you're busy, totally understand, super happy about that. But just because you're in great shape doesn't mean you stop going to the gym.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
You got to keep going. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I like that. So it's really the proactive approach, because then you're building some relationships and the networks where that'll bring the work in. You can leverage those when you do slow down. And then you said to be hyper focused and intentional about actually following up, about saying, okay, I'm not just going to go collect 20 business cards. I'm going to have a conversation with 2 people and follow up with them later, so that we actually build that relationship and that connection.
Yeah.
And then that ends up being fruitful later on.
I understand not everybody's an extrovert, so that can be overwhelming. But at the end of the day, you can control 2 things, your attitude and your actions. So you don't have to go extreme. You just need to be consistent. So even if it's one new person, whatever that looks like for you, you set your own goals. One new person a day, one new person a week, one networking thing, like, just, it will slowly and steadily grow your company and your actions. So even when things are good or things are bad, like your optimism book, just keep on keeping on, right? Like, just, you can control what you can do, and it'll cause a ripple effect in what's happening down the line. So if you're the one who's reaching out and making these relationships, then you know that it will grow that tide.
Yeah, you're still moving forward. You're still progressing, even if you can't see where you're headed. Yeah, you're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I want to hear what trends do you see in the marketing world? Like what's coming up? What are the top players doing?
Top players. Well, the marketing world is getting so broad and so expansive and so evolved, as we do too as a business. So in terms of what I'm seeing for trends, people are making more podcasts, people are making more TV shows, people are willing to be this presence online. So effective mediums involve photos, they involve content, but that's the thing, is there are so many different kinds of learners out there, and so many different type of people interpret things differently. So having the marketers or the people that are growing their brand in incredible ways have lots of channels that are consistent, and they have teams that do it. So they will make their own email templates. They will make their own like weekly newsletters. They will make their own printouts that go to their desired communities consistently. They will show up on Facebook, Google, Instagram, all these other platforms that work for them, TikTok, YouTube. It can be a lot. So just getting started, but the big ones are the ones that are showing up. They're consistent. They are putting in the effort, the time, and they're delegating other people to take the things that they can't do. And then investing in their own brand. You have all this content, that's fantastic. But if you're not investing in the ads and in the branding, those are the things that specifically reach out to people that have mutual interests and gets your brand in front of their feed. So organic content alone can be very difficult to expand unless you're always running contests or things like that, which can be very tiring as an entrepreneur. You can't always offer free stuff. So, being able to show up and invest in your own brand and your own passion in your marketing and advertising is what the leaders are doing. Because again, if there's 7,000 realtors, how are you communicating and finding those specific exclusive channels? So we offer, as you know, but your audience might not, that we are industry protected. So with our publications, we only have one mechanic that would be in the publication educating the readers, and we would only have one of each industry. So kind of having that exclusive real estate in the consumer's mind and being consistent is very valuable. So investing in that. But yeah, giving back to themselves and giving back to their branding and advertising channels. If you want to be consistent in social media marketing and in branding, you should be spending at least 10 to 15% on your marketing initiatives alone. If you want to compete and be the next big name in the city, like the gentleman of the whatever painting industry of the city, you're gonna have to
Pete the plumber.
Pete the plumber. You're gonna have to invest like 20 to 30% aggressively into your marketing, and just know that that's what it takes. So
okay, that's great. So the top companies, they're omnipresent. They're on all the channels. They even they find exclusive channels, and then they're consistently producing on there, which probably means delegating, having a team or multiple teams to keep that coming.
Yeah. So, I mean, as a business owner, I feel like a lot of people can get stuck working in the business and not working on the business. So if you're a contractor, carpenter, whatnot, you might be stuck working in the tools and on the job, and finding the time to have the capacity to network, because that's working on growing the business and to make this content can be hard. But just showing up consistently and putting it into micro-sized chunks for you to kind of grow and expand. And then once you have that budget, really, our options with what we offer on the marketing scene, I've never seen better. So I'm huge on what we do and what we offer. But when people are like, hey, I'm going to do a radio ad and I'm going to make a television show, and that's fantastic. Those are great mediums too. I don't want you to stop that either. So just slowly and steady, you go to a gym, you've never been there before. You do a tour of the thing, and then you're like, okay, well, we're going to start with body weight first and stretching and kind of building up from there. And then you can move to the weights and the free weights and the racks and all the different ensembles and availabilities there.
That makes sense. So talking about like a smaller or even like an individual who's their own business, and they're trying to take these little steps to grow their brand and their presence. How can they start to do that? And I want to take you as an example, because you're very omnipresent. You're on all the channels everywhere. You're posting every day. You're on there. So like, where do you get the energy to keep that up and the consistency? Like, where does that come from? And how can somebody who's like a small business owner on their own emulate that?
That's a great question. I think to emulate it, it's very similar to building a habit at this point. It's consistency. At first, it's going to seem like a mountain of effort. And, give yourself tons of little rewards through the day, whatever that looks like for you. So if you've been meaning to film a podcast, or if you're a solopreneur and you're trying to make something, okay, let's habit stack it. So when you have your cup of coffee, you can even take a picture of the coffee and you can write a little blurb about what you're doing that day or where you're going or who you're helping and why that matters to you. And just right then and there, you have some content, you're getting some stuff going and it's out there. So, I mean, just being willing to do the work and show up. If you have a habit tracker, if you have a calendar and you're just kind of like crossing it off, I made setting time in your day where you're like, okay, for the next 15 minutes to half an hour, I'm going to focus on making a Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn post. And I'm going to do that. And then the next half hour, I'm going to write or contemplate an email template. And then the next day, maybe half an hour, you're contemplating an article that you want to write, or you're looking at a trade show you might want to go to. So just giving yourself that time to block out in your day, even if it's whatever you can, like 10 minutes to half an hour, build it as you have the time. And then as it grows, expand it so your team grows and other people can focus more time on that.
Awesome. So making it a habit pattern, like using different templates or having a plan and calendarizing it when you're going to do it, and then that builds that consistency. So then it gets easier and easier.
Yeah, and finding another accountability partner too. Like if that's your significant other, if that is maybe you're a painter and a flooring guy and you both want to get started and you want to help each other, then you can ask, can I hold you accountable for making this Facebook post this day or whatnot? And just you can kind of motivate each other. That works with the gym too. Like maybe you have a hard time going, but after your friend goes, you're like, yeah, I can't not go. And then you go and get it done.
Yeah.
So yeah, leaning on your community, leaning on your support system, and just figuring out what excites you. Make it fun. Taxes are not always fun. Getting your teeth done are not always fun, but they're necessary. And so, okay, how can we make marketing something that isn't so taboo that we're enjoying? So
I like what you said, like make it part of your day. So you're drinking your coffee and take a picture of that, or you sit down at the office. This is what I'm going to do today, or this is what I did today. So it doesn't have to be like an elaborately planned out thing that you go out of your way to produce. It just becomes a part of your day.
Yeah. You can create these really cool campaigns. You can really go all out, and I encourage that. That's no problem. But if that sounds like a very daunting task and you don't know where to begin, show us the day in the life of what you do right now. We all start somewhere, huge multi-billion-dollar people in the world started in somebody's garage. So just start, really.
Yeah. And that's probably more interesting to other people than somebody would think, that, oh yeah, I come into the shop and we run the machines all day. It's boring. But for somebody else, they say, oh my God, you have one of those?
Yeah.
I've never seen that before. So then people actually do want to see what's going on.
Absolutely.
So that's a good tip.
Be proud of what you're doing and how passionate you are and why you do what you do, because I feel like we do that a lot. We're like, well, why would anyone, I get this frequently. I think it's a generation thing. Our generation kind of grew up right with the tech in hand. So we're like, okay, the older generations, they didn't have that availability. They didn't have the internet. They're like, I'd rather not. And I'm like, they're like, why would I, and people in general, they're like, but what value do I have to provide in blasting this out on the internet that people would care about? I'm like, it's opening them up to your universe and opening them up to your world and showing them your perspective and what gets you excited and what you're really lit up about. And people will feel that. So if you're a business owner and I used to work in the floral industry. So making like a wedding arrangement, getting to put that together for a client and help them, like that was the biggest day of their life up till then. That was super exciting for me. So showing them or asking like, okay, well, I'm working on this project. What colors would you like it in? And asking your audience that way can kind of build up things from there as well.
Okay, awesome. Now I want to talk about the future. So where do you see, like in 10 years, what do you think marketing is going to look like? What do you think people will be the new innovations that have come out?
Ooh, that's a good question. So in 10 years, what I've noticed is I feel like in the last 10, people have thought that physical, tangible print is dead. And while I would agree with you for a lot of things, hyper-focused niches will be what I see in the future, I think. And making these different character profiles and figuring out really what they like, what they don't like on a personal level, and understanding, implementing tech and both tangible and intangible. So digital and print. People still love, holding that item of your product in their hand. They like tangibly, whether that's, you're a photographer and they're going to want a canvas print. It's got more of a soul to it than just looking at it online. But if they never saw it online and can't order it. So for me, I think it's going to be innovating technology. So AI is coming up, and I think people are nervous about that. And we've all seen Terminator and stuff like that. So that makes sense. I understand. But really focusing on where our perception is going and how we can adapt as a business. So implementing that email campaign, implementing video in a podcast. Is it TV show? Is it an email newsletter that goes out, or a YouTube channel? It's going to be more consistent, and the AI you can use to incorporate maybe some topics or maybe some ideas to guess from there. I mean, it can be difficult, but I think just implementing deeper and deeper into the roots of tech and tangible, because I mean, there's a reason why fads come and go, and why old classic things are classic. They're timeless. So certain things won't go away and won't stop. So just making sure those are great and you've got a firm hold on that while implementing whatever new interwebs the tech people are creating and innovating with that is where I see us go.
So it's just like wainscoting. It's 200 years old and people still want it in their house because they say, oh yeah, that's a classic look. But then there's also the other side, which is the modern, the modernist and the new technology that's coming out that'll continue to evolve, but the classic stuff that works will still be there.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll have different character profiles and different clients that you serve, and knowing too for you, like maybe you only want to do new age and that's all you want to focus on. I mean, I'm not one to tell you can't, just go at it. But yeah, I personally think like the old Hollywood glam, these beautiful architecture pieces that you have up here from the past and Leonardo da Vinci, like none of those things are any less valuable. They're still super important and people love that. Like there seems to be a different energy to the timelessness of the past and how to renew that into your own version of the future.
Awesome. Okay, and then still on the topic of the future, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Where do I see myself in 10 years? I want to keep doing what I'm doing now. I absolutely adore what I'm doing. I get to help people with their branding and their visibility in a variety of different channels and facets. So, I mean, for me, it's having more intentional sessions with, okay, maybe let's have them. Networking is great. Let's have more one-on-one coffees and see how we can directly introduce people to be referral partners right now. So kind of building on that database and going from there is where I'd like to move forward. And yeah, just being hyper intentional with my day and my focus and having regular updates and feedback loops with the people in my community and knowing what lights them up and how I can support them and show up for them too. So the TV show that we're hosting will be launched, and the teasers and intros and outros. So that will be happening, but really expanding what we're doing in the community and just diving deeper. You and I both came to Calgary last year. So I think we started planting some awesome seeds, but trees don't happen in a year. Mountains aren't made that fast. So just diving deeper and educating and connecting with more people in an authentic way is what I'm going to keep doing.
Awesome. So you keep watering the seed. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I like that you're very intentional, like hyper focused. You said that like several times, but that's awesome that you have that focus, and then you can see that's what it takes if you want to have big results. Then you have have to have your focus. You can't be scattered everywhere.
Yeah, I find my family's been diagnosed with ADHD, and my mom's she's like, oh yeah, you've got it, but you've managed to wrangle it in as you do. And we all have to kind of like wrangle our own demons, but reading and educating myself is important. So I've been listening to like the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and there was another one about high performance achievers and different habits that they have in their day across multiple mediums, like composers, fascinating artists, high performance athletes, and they all seem to have the same sort of thing, in that you need to set boundaries clearly for your time, invest everything that you got, and go all in as to the best of your ability. Your best is always enough. So always go to the best of your ability to what you can. They recommend having 6 days, 5 to 6 days of doing what you love to do and pushing your brand and pushing your medium. And then take 1 day where you are completely hands off. Fill your cup in whatever that looks like for you. Your family, hiking, your dog, completely separate from work, so you can give that back to you. And then setting throughout, like on those days that you are working, the brain is fantastic with doing one thing at a time. So, okay, like if planning it out for you works, then that's awesome. If not, and you're more of like, these are the tasks I need to get done in my day mentally, being like, okay, well, let's prioritize what needs to get done. Let's spend between, the research in that book was saying that between 25 minutes and an hour and 15 is how long your brain can specifically focus on one thing, depending on how physically or mentally invigorating it is. So just giving it your all for that one task. If it's all answering all your emails, not email, someone messaged you on Facebook, someone texted you and called you, like just making sure that you block off that time, that you're like, nope, this is what I'm doing right now. I'm hyper focused on this. And then taking another, after that half-hour chunk, hour and 15 is done, do that same sort of thing. Completely take a break. Go for a walk. Go have some food. Fill your cup. Call a friend, whatever that looks like for you, and then go right back at it again.
Awesome. That's great. That's some bonus high productivity tips. So I'm sure that's valuable to everyone.
Awesome. Well, that's what I hope to help with, and try to, if I can help someone else and make a difference for one person, then it was worth it.
That's a great attitude to have. Okay, so before we finish off, what's one communication tip that you would give to contractors in general? How can they improve, like something they can do just to level up their communication when they're talking to customers, the people they deal with?
Absolutely. So I wrote this little blurb here. So we want to focus on effective communication. So that typically involves 3 things. If we can focus on these 3 things, then we're doing very well for ourselves in relationships in general, but contractor and client especially. So we need to have clear expression. We need to be honest and forefront about what it is that we're asking and wanting to do. We need to have active listening, because even when I was doing social media marketing, I'm like, the biggest thing with relationships is that you are social, you are engaging, you are paying attention, and you are present, and having a mutual understanding. Okay, so I understood from what you're telling me that this is what's going to happen and what your expectation is. That extra wrap up is oh no, actually, we have so many different realities or perceptions, or even, I mean, on the renovation side, maybe you, or even any project, you're like, I think I want it to go in this direction, but based off our conversation, I think we should head that way because of your guidance. Okay, so I understand that you wanted to go in this direction. So prioritizing dialogue, sharing vision and expectations, both between the contractor and the consumer, the client, being like, okay, we're on the right path together. But should that not happen, you want to show them that you're having open communication to build trust, and that you are there for them, and align your goals to minimize your misunderstanding and enhance your success. So letting them know that you are available to ask, you're approachable. Any questions, comments, concerns, I'm here in your corner. I am not available 24/7, but you can reach me 24/7, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. If it's an emergency, typically with people, I'm like, give me a call. If you need something right this second, call me and I will drop what I'm doing and do that for you. But otherwise, I'm kind of neck deep in whatever that
You're
task
focused.
is.
You're focused on something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, having that active participation, listening, sharing, and aligning with goals in every step of the way. So I find some people and contractors too. I had a gent reach out to me about setting a meeting and left me a voicemail. That's fantastic. My voicemail will transcribe it as I'm not available, but even following up on a text message. Hey, some people prefer email, some people prefer text message, but just being open and available and responsive within a decent time. Like if you're 24 hours, try to get within 24 hours. If you're really busy, 48 makes sense. 36, 48, but to just kind of leave them open-ended, then it's not going to build a good relationship. So.
Okay, those are some great tips. Very useful. And what about from the consumer perspective? What can they do to improve their communication when they're hiring someone or looking to hire someone?
So letting them know what their goals are and what their budget is probably huge. And then also communicating what success looks like to them and what their sort of needs are. Do you want to have a conversation with the contractor at the end of the day to discuss what happened? What is best for the contractor if they want to communicate with you? If they need to order a product and it's delayed for some reason, or if it's discontinued, what's the best way to talk to you and what wouldn't infringe too much on the client's life? But that's professional and that's effective. And yeah, the clear communication dialogue, setting the expectations for what you're wanting. For a lot of things and a lot of people, just being understanding and going with the flow, like understanding that if you are in your industry and you're a bricklayer or a painter, you're doing the best with what you can if you found a good professional that really cares about what they're doing and their service and quality. So, okay, how can I make myself the best client? Be open to feedback, be open to discussion, be willing and ready to express my wants, needs, and goals, and not be a micromanager. Like you hired them to do the best of what they have to offer. And I know even with what I do in marketing, because it is a trust the process thing. And if you come in and halfway through the project, you express your concern for sure, but just have some faith in the contractor that you've done some research with and that you've built a relationship with, that it's gonna turn out at the end result for what you're looking for.
Yeah, definitely.
So
that's great. That's all awesome advice. Thanks.
no
Any other topics you want to cover off?
I guess it could be from your end, like as a contractor, are there certain struggles that you found are very difficult that I can maybe shed some light on with marketing, or what have your biggest hurdles been on that sort of journey?
Yeah, I'll go back to the time when I was running the business by myself. I didn't have my amazing marketing team. Yeah, so I was busy and it was all word of mouth work. So I wasn't worried about like social media and posting, so I didn't have any sort of habit or consistent plan. And then that changed. Like you said, there's a slowdown. In my case, I moved here, but yeah, it was not having those systems set up because I was like, oh yeah, I'm fine. I have enough work to keep me busy. But then I was also at that same point, I wasn't growing, like you said, because I wasn't putting any effort into marketing. So I stayed at the same level, and I was like, oh, this is just how it is to be a contractor. I'm just at this level, and I guess that's it. But so I missed out on that. So yeah, it's just reinforcing what you said earlier about if you want to grow, you have to put in that effort and the budget into marketing, so that the work is there. So people do need it. So people do know about you at the point when you want them to.
Yeah, you invest in your tools, you invest in your products and in your skills and your learning along the way, and investing in your marketing and your branding is huge to help do that. If you are consistent and you're pleased with where you are and word of mouth is enough for you, that's great. If you want to create more of an impact, be the go-to in your industry, have a legacy, then you gotta show up and you gotta keep committing. So yeah, and knowing, okay, maybe there are people that are ready to take that jump to hire a marketing person, or you can get someone like me that we can do the services, but I'm in your corner, but we're not paying an hourly rate. The new offerings for things like our Google portal that we have. So Google itself, if you didn't know, checks 50 different websites in Canada to see if you are reputable and valid, and that will land how you end up on the listings. So if you're one of the realtors, you want to be at the top of the search. The heavy hitters, the big swingers, are spending a lot of money on the advertising and the branding and the search engine optimization to be at the very top, and that's clear. But the other ones underneath that are still building, we've created this portal now that's launching this month, and it's very exciting, but it will verify all of those websites that Google searches automatically, organically, and it will say, okay, does your phone line up with all of them, your number that's available, does your address line up, does your business name line up? Because if they don't, then it's inaccurate and you're going to start slipping, and people will create confusion. They're not really going to understand. So this portal that we've created to find tools that you can optimize your own sorts of things if you are doing it by yourself, or you can hire a virtual administrator, you can hire a social media marketer to create content for you. They're brand ambassadors. There are people that do that. So when you're ready to invest in the campaign, then I'm open and I'm happy to talk. And prior to that, like, everyone's got their own steps that they have to take to get up to it. But yeah, there are grants out there too. There's the Canadian Digital Adoption Program. So that can get you a decent chunk to invest in your own marketing. And there are a few people I know that are agents that can kind of help you apply for that if you're confused. But yeah, you have to keep investing. If you want to grow, then growing your finances too. You have to be consistent. You want to build in the gym. You have to eat right and sleep right and drink enough water. So
yeah, that's all investment. Yeah.
Yep. Having the willingness and the consistency to invest in your brand and how that looks for you is important if you want to grow.
Great.
You have recently started this podcast journey. How have you found it?
It's been super fun. And easier than I expected, actually. Because there's a lot of tools now. I think, maybe 5 years ago it would have been harder, but there's platforms where you can distribute it to everywhere. There's AI tools that help me do the editing. Yeah, so then that makes the background part easy. So then I just get to have the super fun conversations with the guests. So
that's great.
Yeah, it's been great.
That's awesome. Well, I'm sure it's very motivating and inspiring to the other tradespeople that do want to make a difference, that don't want to. I mean, I kind of joke sometimes too. I'm like, I'm not that idea of what people have of a used car salesman. We're available. We're here for you. We're professional. We want to help. If it doesn't work and it doesn't align, then that's okay.
Yeah.
So there are tradespeople such as yourself that do want to show up, that do want to be professional and consistent, and doing these sorts of things are going to help motivate others to do so as well. So
I hope so.
Yeah, thank you for what you're doing. It's awesome.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for coming on. And where can people find you and find out more about your company?
Yeah, so you can send me an email if you like. My name is Victoria, so if you do V and then Givlin, Givlin at bestversionmedia.com. You can also give me a call or text 825-484-4414. There's Facebook pages, there's websites you can look at, whatever that might look like for you. So Instagram, I've got it at vgivlin.com, at vgivlin for Instagram. We've got a Facebook page, Givlin Gals Good News, and we're launching The Local Connection, which will be a TV show similar to this, but asking them about their whys and really diving into their human experience and purpose for what they do. So yeah, I'm excited for that. And yeah, you can also reach out to Nick and
Yep.
ask him. I'm here. I'm happy to connect. There's a ton of networking groups I go to. Eventbrite, I'm hosting. You can see there's like a monthly thing that comes out too, so you can
Mhm.
subscribe to that. However you feel you best want to connect, I'm here.
Yeah, and we'll link it in the show notes, so that'll all be linked there. Yeah. All right, great. Well, that was a great conversation. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks for having
It was a
me.
pleasure.
And for letting me help you grow. It's amazing. I love
Mhm.
seeing what you're doing. I love the optimism. Oh, shout out for your book.
Uh-huh.
Definitely. If you guys
Yeah.
have not read Nick's Optimism 2033, you are missing out. And it's a great refresher when, we get self-doubt as an entrepreneur. We
Mhm.
get defeated sometimes because the world isn't always kind. And just learning to find that capacity to keep on keeping on, it's a great read. So,
Awesome.
yeah, thank you for that.
Glad you're enjoying it.
Hmm.
The next one is in the works.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's exciting. What's that
Yeah.
one going to be called?
Quit like a boss.
Nice.
So how to quit, like quit doing the stuff that you don't need to be doing anymore.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's
Yeah.
part of
So
the
you gotta
letting go that you're
exactly.
talking
Yeah. You
about,
gotta
right?
if you want to grow, you have to let go of the stuff that's behind you. So
Yep.
yeah. Yeah. That'll be coming this year sometime.
Awesome. Exciting. Okay, well, I look
Uh,
forward to reading it.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.